What if the story of Jesus was not only history, but a hidden map inside the human body? Tonight, we go into one of the strangest ideas we've ever covered: the Christ oil, the pineal gland, Kundalini energy, the 33 vertebrae, and the claim that the Bible may be describing an inner resurrection process. Join William and Lee on tonight's episode of Strange and Mysterious World.
Welcome to Strange Mysterious World, Season 5, Episode 23. Tonight we're going to be chatting about Christ oil and the abduction of Betty and Barney Hill. Very, very famous abduction, so we're going to be analysing that a little bit, and we're going to be chatting about Christ oil. Very keen to hear about the Christ oil. I know a little bit about it, but I'm very keen to hear what's going on there with that. So, yeah, welcome, Will.
Hey, how's it, Lee? Sorry, I was muted there. I was like coughing while you were talking, so I just muted myself. So anyway, so this Christ oil, like I've always known about it. It's been around on the internet and YouTube or whatever. And anyway, but this book just keeps on popping up on my social media, like on ads. It's called The Book of Wisdom by Harry B. Joseph. Now, obviously, I've been trying to get Harry B. Joseph onto the show, but it's very hard to get him to find an email address. I mean, I've sent some messages on social media and everything, and he never replies. So, it's always just frustrating whenever we want a guest on. It's so hard to find the contact details. I wish there was someone out there, maybe if someone listening to this podcast, that I wish we could get someone to help us. Okay, so this book keeps on coming up on. I don't know if have you ever seen it on your
Never heard of it in my
feeds?
life until you mentioned it to me.
You know what? Let me share this with you, Lee, so you can.
Okay.
You can check out the images while I'm explaining it to you.
I know the Catholic Church and the Anglican Church and the Orthodox Church. They've got something that's called the sacred Chrism, which is it's an oil that they use for anointing. It's made of olive oil and balsam, and they use that. That's
Yes.
what they use for anointing people. But I think they try. I think they obviously heard this idea, and this is obviously how it was supposed to be, but I don't think they understood it, and they did their own thing.
Yes, because it's like hidden. It's like hidden in the whole, like the rituals and the allegories and the symbolism with the oil, like them putting the oil on their head, because it actually has to do with the whole Kundalini energy system. That this oil gets produced in your head and it goes to the bottom of your spine through the cerebral spinal fluid, and it sits in your your sacrum or whatever for 3 days, and then gets resurrected. You got to like learn some techniques to try and get the oil, and you mustn't damage it with like bad food or unhealthy living, and you must try and get the oil to come back up into your brain where it's like basically the Kundalini thing. But so let me just read this thing so you can see the pictures. So when the moon enters your star sign, the birth zodiac sign, a sacred oil is released from the brain and flows down the spine to the sacrum bone. And the fluid must be preserved and not destroyed by acidic food or liquids. Sexual energy must be retained to raise the sacred oil back to the brain, heaven, by opening our chakras, preserving sexual energy, and protecting the Christ oil. We can use the Kundalini energy to rise it from the spine to the brain's crown chakra. Okay, so it says, when the 7 chakras open and Kundalini reaches the crown, the new energy pathways from the brain, making it feel hollow inside. The brain remolded, expanding its capacity from 10% to a full 100%. Dormant areas of the brain activate, unlocking new functions and experiences. The Kundalini becomes a self-sustaining circuit powered by food and water, growing stronger with time. Okay, so then the oil process. The claustrum. So then he puts here, Klaus equals Santa Claus, like Santa Claus. And it's funny because he puts at the bottom here, you'll see like there's a whole explanation about like Santa Claus and Hickory Dickory Dock, the mouse of the clock, like how this is all hidden in like all of our stories and and kind of things, which is quite fun. But the only thing is, I just feel like he's just pushing it, like with these words, like he's trying too hard to like sometimes I just find like he finds like these words and he tries to like make the meaning out of it, and it. But other than that, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because there's a lot of really interesting stuff in here. But I do sometimes feel it's a little bit of, as I say, trying too hard. So the claustrum, class equals Santa Claus, processes the sacred psychophysical fluid, which is then sent to the pineal gland and pituitary gland. Now this was really interesting, because he starts like saying that the pineal gland and the pituitary gland are like Joseph and Mary, right? So the pineal gland male, so the pineal gland male Joseph electrically charges the fluid. The pituitary gland female Mary magnetically charges the fluid. Then the Inda and the Pingala, so those are the two, like from yoga, the two, or even like the Tao and like Chinese medicine and all of the, Eastern
Is that not your negative and positive, like a male and female?
But so that's the energy system that runs around your inner channel, like the inner channel of energy. It runs around that thing, which is also, we see it like in our medical symbol, like the two snakes that go around the pole, and it gets to the wings that shine out. It's basically like your Kundalini energy getting to your crown chakra and it's illuminating it, which is actually our medical symbol, which nobody really knows about. But it's also, that's the staff of Hermes Trismegistus.
Odysseus.
Yeah. And that's also, if you think about the Garden of Eden with the snake of wisdom going around the tree and giving the apple, the fruit of wisdom. So there's also like the Kundalini going up, and then you experiencing wisdom by eating the apple. So he goes on here to say, so the Ida and Pingala nerves, the fluid flows down the Ida nerve connecting to the pituitary, and the Pingala nerve connecting to the pineal gland. The sanctum bone, solar plexus, the oil rests here for 2 to 3 days. Activation of Kundalini energy. If the oil was preserved and not destroyed, it activates Kundalini energy, transforming the oil into gas. The gas ascends up the 33 vertebrae of the spine to the medulla oblongata. And that's also like, he died when he was 33 years old, and also like the Freemasons, there's 33 degrees in Freemason, which obviously relates to your spinal.
The spine, yeah.
Spinal vertebrae.
No, I was going to say, and obviously because with the crucifixion, I think that's where they cross over, where the things cross over. That's called the crucifixion. So the whole symbology of the Bible is actually talking about this. It was not really about a person. It was all symbolic to do about the actual Christ oil, or the holy oil, or whatever you want to call it, that's inside the body. It's actually, I don't think it had anything to do with any being or getting crucified. I think it was just this thing. It's very, carry on. Sorry, man.
Yeah, because that's what it is. To read it, it's actually like a code or like a manual to reach Christ consciousness, and it's all hidden in there. Like Jesus obviously told his disciples, "I'll teach you the real way," but we'll just give everyone else like metaphors, and they're going to have to figure it out. Because obviously I'm going to get killed, and this is going to go into, you probably saw the future. It's going to go, they're going to redesign the Bible, they're going to take things out or whatever, but I'm going to put it in a way that maybe someone will figure it out later.
Yeah, but you see, the problem is if you come to this ignorantly, and you don't really know the processes and that, you can actually do so much damage to yourself that it's very, very dangerous to do this stuff. You've got to have the proper technique and the proper thingy to do this.
Yes, they say that. That's why in yoga, because people don't understand the yogic system. There's 8 limbs of yoga, which you have to do, which involves like a certain diet, a certain breathing practices, certain stretch. So that the asanas, the stretches, and then meditation's like a big one, and then there's obviously morality, and like there's I can't remember all of them, but the thing is, like in Western culture, we have been so taught that yoga's just bending yourself into a pretzel, which is just the asanas, which we've turned it into an exercise. If you ask any, if you go to India and you ask any guru or whatever, like you tell them what yoga is in the Western culture, they'll just laugh and they'll be like, well, that's just exercising, because the asanas are just to prepare your body for the meditation and to get complete stillness so you can reach these higher stages of consciousness. It's not about bending yourself into pretzels, like, that's just the very small part of it. Yes, it can be very damaging, but that's why you got to do the 8 limbs. So you got to purify your body so that when you open up the energy channels and like all your nadis, your energy paths in your body and that are blocked, it'll just fry through that, and it'll cause not only the biggest pain and physical damage to you, but it'll also make you go into psychosis. So that's what happens like a lot of times with these experiences, because you haven't purified your body, or the energy channels goes into the wrong area. And if somebody told me, this was actually quite a very interesting way of describing it, was that like those ancient lamps in the old days would be burnt on like rags that wrapped around a thing. Now, the purer the gasoline or whatever you put on that to burn it was, the longer it would burn for. But if there was a lot of impurities in the gas and you would light it, and it would just last it would burn so fast, it would just go, and it would just burn up and it would be gone in like a few seconds. So that's almost like your body. Now, if your body is like completely full of toxins and your nadis are all blocked with all emotional shit that's going on in your life and whatever, then your Kundalini activated, you just burn up and you'll destroy your mind and your body. And also, that's also why the mystery schools were so kind of secretive about this stuff, because, well, not only because of all the persecutions through the Crusades and every other like Inquisition that we had, but because if you got this knowledge and you actually learned how to do this and you got enlightenment, or you could become so powerful. So if you had bad intentions, well, not only would you damage the people around you through the cities that you would attain, like special abilities, but you would also damage yourself. So it would be destructive to everybody around you, the world and yourself. So, I mean, imagine if Jesus was like a narcissist. I mean, he could have just turned everybody into a bottle of wine. But I mean, like, he could do something like really serious, you could like just run over that water and kung fu kick you in the head. No, he wouldn't have to. He would just set you alight with his mind. But so that's why it was so protected, because it gives you extreme power. So anyway, back to this thing. Where was I? 33 vertebrae. Okay, so then the rebirth process, the energy reaches the pineal gland, and then the cerebrum, resulting in the rebirth, resurrection of brain cells, activation of the pineal gland, regeneration of all cells in the body. Okay, well, they're explaining when it happens the good way. Remember when we interviewed that guy that, who did we interview? What is his name?
That was David.
No, not David Velasquez. It was Peter. He had that bad Kundalini experience.
Oh, yes.
We interviewed him.
Sure.
And then he had to go to that
Peter
internal family system. Yeah, family system to get the Kundalini to subside. So anyway, so if you guys do this and it's a bad experience, just
we do not
contact Peter Fay. Go listen to our earlier episode, get Peter Fay, and he can help you just subdue the wrath of the snake up the spine. Okay, so the sacred process is symbolized by being born again. Okay, so this is being born again. So then here's a picture of the Indal and Pingala. The Ida channel, female, lunar energy.
Yeah, female. That's correct.
And connecting to the pituitary gland, which connects magnetic and
negative
nurturing qualities.
Yeah,
so that's also another thing about the asanas in yoga. Before you do your meditation and your breathing and whatever, is that it also balances the Inda and the Pingala. So it balances your male feminine energy, and that also your lunar and your sun energy. So that's also why you would want to do asanas before the meditation. It's just a preparation for the meditation. So then, okay, so the brain in the Bible, the upper room where Jesus meets the 12 disciples, symbolizing the 12 cranial nerves, the Holy Land, representing the sacred space within the brain, the land flowing with milk and honey, a metaphor for the pituitary gland, milk, and the pineal gland, honey. The promised land of Israel, symbolizing the unlimited spiritual awakening within the brain. Christos, there we go, the Greek word for oil, later became Christ. This sacred oil within us represents the divine process of spiritual awakening.
So
And then,
what's quite interesting, what's quite interesting is people today are awaiting the second coming of Jesus. But the second coming is actually within. They shouldn't be waiting for somebody outside to come. The second coming is actually within. It's the process that's coming within. And the only person or the only being that's going to save you is yourself. You can't, there's no external help coming, dude. You have to fucking save yourself. So that's very very interesting.
And also we all have
I'm happy that you told me about this a couple of days ago, because when I started listening to it, I thought, fuck, well, how come I've never heard of this before? This here is probably the most important thing to learn about anything. This will actually take preference over the previous book that you were reading, which was the secret teachings of all things. This actually far passes that, dude. This is the most important thing. If people can understand the analogies and all the stuff that the Bible actually wrote about, and I'm actually going to take back my words that I said some time back about Paul being the progenitor of the New Testament, which he probably was, which he is, but he had knowledge. He had knowledge there that is like way beyond. Do you know what I mean? Because everything around the New Testament revolves around what he was talking about. And I think you're right. I think there were certain disciples that Jesus had spoken to about certain things. And there was a lot of them that he left out. And I think this is also the reason why maybe Paul was fighting with the other guys, because they were a bit ignorant. They didn't understand the proper teaching. So this here is profound, dude. This thing here is probably one of the most profound things I've ever heard. And I'm so glad you put me on this, because funny enough, when I was waiting to come on here now, I was listening to another Christ oil that they were talking about, and they got it so wrong. They were talking about frankincense and myrrh, and you got to mix this, and you got to touch it over here, and when you touch this, it like chemically involves. And I'm thinking, dudes, you got it so far. You're off. You're completely off where it's actually supposed to be, because it's got nothing to do with physical stuff that you got to go now and put on yourself. It's got to do with the internal. So I must say thank you for putting me onto that. I'm doing so much research into this now, dude. After this, this thing I need to get right. We need to get right. We need to get it out to people.
Yes.
They need to understand it.
Yes, and also what I wanted to say in the beginning was that if we stay to the end, I will show you guys like how to do a very powerful practice to actually try and raise this oil. Because with all of my research that I've been doing over the years with this oil and like trying to get the Kundalini, a lot of it has to do with bandha locks. That's like pulling up your do certain breathing and then yeah, but you do bandha locks. But what's interesting is that like you get, I mean, bandha locks is obviously it's in all the yoga. You can find it in Hatha yoga, Raja yoga, all the yogas, and tantra. It's in Taoist practices, the Tao. Everywhere you go, they got bandha locks, right? And like I remember like even Joe Dispenza, because I got the Joe Dispenza pineal gland meditation, and that's basically doing bandha locks with visualizing, putting awareness in your pineal gland. When I did Shambhavi Mudra Kriya, when I got initiated into that, there was a part of it where you did bandha locks with a breath retention. When you put the breath out, you do a bandha lock. When you breathe in, with the sacrum bandha lock, because I mean, obviously there's quite a few bandha locks through your body that you can do. And I remember Sadhguru saying to us, well, he was like, you must only do one bandha lock, because if you do more, it can be very damaging, or dangerous, he said. So, and then when I was doing my putti patti, which was that Indonesian martial arts that you learn how to see through a blindfold. Huh?
So like you said, pushing patti.
Yeah, but it does. It's exactly. So pushing patti. So, and that also, that's like, it's breathing and then doing like a bundle lock, but mainly the sanctum bundle lock. And it's funny because when you do a bundle lock with your sacrum, you actually like sucking in your pelvic floor and your perineum. So like, as if when you're going to take a poop and you want to like, that's when you want to stop your poop, you pull in your perineum and your pelvic floor. So that's a bundle lock on the thing. And in Maputi Pati, they actually called it cutting off the poop.
Okay.
That's what that it was called. And then also when David Falassi, we actually had him on his podcast. I did some of his courses, and there was one breathing that he did was called power breathing, which if you go watch the documentary of him when he's in, I think it was in Indonesia as well when he learned this, and it was like how to raise the Kundalini, and he would do this breathing, and it's exactly basically what I'm going to teach you guys at the end. We'll teach Lee, and you guys can follow along. It's from the Tao lineage. It's like Dantian breathing, bellow breathing with your stomach, internal alchemy breathing. So teach you that at the end, and that's a great way to help you rise this Kundalini, the Christ oil, up, which I've been doing it before my meditations, and I must say, like, it really does feel amazing. So
yeah, you got to do it on the day you were born. So like if it was like a 13th day or whatever, but it's got to do more the moon. When the moon comes in.
Yeah, so it's when the moon enters your sun star, which is your birth zodiac sign. So like I mean, you can go online and figure that out for yourselves, guys. But I mean, I just went into ChatGPT. I said, when's my sun going to enter my next birth zodiac sign? This is when I'm born and fucking whatever. And then it told me, do it on the 22nd of June, or I can't remember really. I'll look back. But that's also another thing, which it says you got to do it on that day, but the thing is, you should just practice it every day, because not only are you going to be learning how to do it and perfecting it, but then also if you're confused about when the day is, and if you're getting it wrong because you can't remember if you were born in the morning or in the evening of that, that also has an effect apparently. So, I mean, I just meditate twice a day every day. So I just involve like these practices, and then you would obviously hit that day anyway if you're just doing it every day.
No, but I think the problem with that though is a lot of people are, what's the word? They will do something for a month and then they'll stop because they get bored, or they kind of lose interest, or whatever the situation is. So I think it's important to try and figure out, because a lot of people, because it says don't eat junk food, don't drink, don't do this, and a lot of people are not going to stop that for sure. So I think even if you can just try and find out when the 3 days are that this thing is happening, for those 3 days you do your meditations, your fasting, your the exercise that you need to do, the breathing and whatever, just to kind of cultivate that seed.
But
that's
I think
now
your body,
from the oil.
Yeah, but I mean, also I think your body, it takes a while to get rid of all the toxins. So you should actually be eating pretty well all the time. I mean, that's one of the limbs of yoga, which I was talking about earlier. Like, you have to purify your body. So I think it's an ongoing process. I know this thing makes it so simple. It's like, oh no, just wait until that birth sign is there, and then just sit there for 3 days, and then do it, and you'll receive the same enlightenment as Christ did. But so I just think that's I think it's an ongoing process. Personally, I mean, like I hear you, because I mean, no one ever can stick to those things. So that's why we all be stuck in the prison planet forever, my friend. That's the plan. So they're doing a very good job of it.
So we try to give you the keys to get out of this prison planet.
Yes, exactly. So now, where was I here, Lee? I've lost my place now.
Okay, so you finished you were on the end there, and that's it.
The story of Jesus is metaphorical for the journey of the sacred oil processed by the brain. The oil descending from the brain symbolizes God coming down from the heavens to earth. Jesus lying for 3 days in the cave, representing the sacred fluid resting in the sacrum bone of the base of the spine, the cave, for the period of time. Once the oil is resurrected, meaning activating the Kundalini to rise the oil back up the spine, it ascends through all 33 vertebrae of the spine and crossing the vagus nerve, This sacred oil crossing the vagus nerve, symbolizing Jesus being crucified at 33 years of age. As there are 33 vertebrae in the spine, the death of Jesus representing being born again and the transformation of matter into spirit. Isn't that cool? Hey?
Very, very
so
cool. That's what I said.
Makes a lot of sense.
So impressed. Yeah, so impressed with actually discovering that it wasn't just a story. There's a secret hidden meaning behind it. That was, and it makes sense, dude. It makes so much sense. Eh? Especially when you've been hearing about things like the Kundalini, and you've been hearing about other stuff, and it's rising. They talk about the snake in the Garden of Eden, and it was actually representing wisdom. And without the snake, you wouldn't have wisdom. You would still be stuck in the Garden of Eden. There's these dum-dums running around the garden, not knowing fuck all. The snake actually gave the wisdom. So there's a lot of analogy to everything that goes on. It's not like a direct story where you've got to take it literally. You've got to now look at this type of thing. You look at it and you think, oh shit, okay, that's what it means.
Yeah, but that's why he's the first guy that theorized relativity. Isaac Newton. So Isaac Newton, he was a alchemist, like a pure, like he spent most of his time like trying to find the philosopher's stone and transmuting gold into metal into gold. Like he spent 80% of his time doing alchemy, and then and a very small time on finding out the theory of relativity. Well, a very small time. He was just sitting under a tree and an apple hit him, and then he figured it out. So that was a very small time where he figured that out. But so he was obsessed with the Bible, but he saw it as a code, like a structure, like there was like a hidden. So he was so obsessed with that Bible that he would be spending so much time trying to decode it to try and find out what the meaning was. So here we are again. So this is cool because then look at this. There's this picture of the River of Jordan, and he's like mapping it out to the spinal column. Can you see that? Yeah. Like, so the Dead Sea, it says that the sanctum bone, the solar plexus, and then all the way up the River Jordan, the spinal cord. So you can see the picture over here on the left-hand side. Yeah, but it's quite fun, like he's finding all of these. Yeah, it is pushing it, but it's fun, because it's like it makes it even more like mysterious. So look, the brain, the heaven, he's got the Jordan River, the Sanctum Cave, where Jesus was dead for 3 days. So it says Jesus, the oil, in the Nazareth, the head, with Joseph and Mary, the pineal and the pituitary gland, while King Herod seeks to kill him, Jesus, the oil descends the river Jordan, the spine, to Bethlehem near the Dead Sea, the sanctum bone, where it rests. Joseph and Mary, the pineal and pituitary gland, await Jesus, the oil, to ascend and return. The process of the oil descending from the head represents Jesus coming down from the heavens into physical form. Jesus lying for 3 days and being resurrected to be crucified at 33 is a metaphorical story of the Christ oil process within the body, which activates 100% of the brain. Cool. Then he's got some cool pictures here of Jesus, like there on the brain here on the cross, and then so it says
I like that
Jesus was crucified.
I like that eye there of Horus.
Yeah, that's also very cool because is the pineal gland. Like if you look, the picture next to it is a picture of the brain, cut in half. For our listeners, the people listening, is your brain that's like sliced in half, and you're looking at where the pituitary and the pineal gland, and it actually looks just like the eye of Horus.
Yeah, very cool.
So it says here, Jesus was crucified at Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. This represents Jesus on the cross, symbolically aligned with the midbrain. That's pretty cool, hey? Golgotha is the place of the skull. I don't even know. Well, we better check that out. These people are going to be.
No, it is.
No, yeah. So that's very interesting. The Christ oil ascends through the 33 vertebrae of the spine and then crosses the vagus nerve, which forms an intersection. Jesus was crucified at 33 because this symbolizes the crucifixion of the Christ oil as it completes its journey through the 33 vertebrae and crosses the vagus nerve, representing spinal transformation and ascension.
Nice.
Okay, it keeps on just kind of like repeating itself now, but it says here, like, so underneath the pictures of the eye of Horus and the brain cut off, it's like Genesis 32:30. Jacob
32:30.
named the place Pineal, for he said, I have seen God face to face. That's pretty cool, because actually I have read that in the Bible. And it's like, actually, it's funny, when I read that, I was like, oh, pineal gland, pineal. And here it is. Pineal gland is the seat of consciousness, also referred to as the throne of God. And this gland is the gateway to higher awareness and inner vision and divine connection. And this is John 3:3. Unless you are born again, you cannot see the kingdom of God. And see, this whole thing is about being born again. And also, when we were talking about The Secret of All Ages on the last podcast that was written by Manly P. Hall, he kept on saying, like, because in the alchemy section where it says, if you want to actually know how to do these alchemical things of turning gold into metal and to find the philosopher's stone and making what they thought Moses was eating in the desert manna from gold or whatever. But he says that, and he even gives the processes in that book, which is so fascinating. Like, I was like, fuck, I want to go try this. You got to go collect dew outside, and then you got to like put it in a bottle, and then you got to like cook salt on a thing, and fucking, it's like all this, process. But he was saying, like, you have to be born again. The Manly Paul says, and he's quoting from other alchemists that have like done this and actually got it right. They say you have to be born again, and they're talking about this process to actually know what is going on here, because it's not just a physical thing; it's a spiritual thing that they're doing there. Like when they mixing the sulfur and the salt and the mercury and everything, they say that it's these elements are in 4 worlds, and you have to know like how to activate the other worlds that they're in, so that it will actually, because you're actually making like a spiritual essence around this material kind of stuff you're working with. He says in the book, you can try this at home, but you will not get it right, because you will not know how to do the process properly, because you will not be born again, and you will not know the spiritual nature of what you need to actually do. So you can follow the description, but you'll get lost if you're not enlightened. Okay, so Genesis 28. Jacob left Beersheba and went to Haran. The sun had already set when he came to a good place to spend the night. He took a rock there and laid his head onto it to sleep. Jacob had a dream. He dreamed there was a ladder that was on the ground and reached up into heaven. He saw the angels of God going up and down the ladder. So it says Jacob's ladder. Then he's got some cool pictures here of the Masonic artwork of the spine, like, going up the ladder to reach, looks like enlightenment up there, big sun. And it says Jacob symbolizes the sacred oil in the parable. The rock he rested on represents the sacrum bone, where the oil descending and remaining for the time before ascending. So, like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think it's pushing it a bit here, but maybe, I don't know. What do you think?
No.
When Jacob saw a ladder, I mean, the ladder makes sense, but I don't know about the rock, his head on the rock and that.
No, I think
let's just try and make something out of everything that we read.
I think it's reaching a little bit now, but the previous one, I think, made a little bit more sense, but yeah.
So then when Jacob saw a ladder reaching heaven, this symbolizes the spinal cord, the pathway through which the sacred oil raises to the brain, heaven. The spinal cord serves as the stairway to higher consciousness and divine awakening. Freemasonry represents the esoteric knowledge through the symbols of ladders and staircases, signifying the ascent of energy, Kundalini, through the spinal column, leading to enlightenment. And then he's obviously got the pictures of the famous pyramid on the back of the $1 bill with the eye, with the floating pyramid eye on the top. Which is like, it's actually kind of weird, in the money. No one like really questions it. I mean, it's like fucking such a weird, it's like hidden in plain sight. So the Christ oil. Okay, so now there's some pictures of the pituitary gland and the brain stem. So Christians have heard that Jesus was crucified at 33 between two thieves. The story is symbolic, representing the space within your skull between the brain's left and right hemisphere. The age 33 symbolizes the spinal column within the 33 vertebrae at the back of the human skull, like the ladder Jacob saw in Genesis. The third cross represents the midbrain. Ventricles create a holy grail shaped cavity inside the skull. That's also pretty cool because he goes on. I don't know if we're going to get to this because it's quite far down. He goes into the whole holy grail, and that's also part of the whole system. You can see down here the holy grail. See, look at this. Like the sun energy, see this pouring into the holy grail from this side, and your sun energy, the male and female energy, the Inda and the Pingala, pouring into the holy grail in the brain here. So that's also pretty cool representation. But I don't know if we're going to get to that because, like, I think we're never going to get to your story because there's, yeah. So. Geez, okay, look, he repeats himself quite a lot here. People are going to have to just go read the thing, but this is pretty interesting.
The quick thing with Santa Claus, of what I can remember, the analogy there was Santa Claus is this entity that brings presents, but he's got to climb down the chimney to get and drop the presents off, and he tried to say that was very similar to what happens in the brain with the spinal fluid, which is the sacred oil. It's like Santa Claus that's coming in. It's then traveling down the chimney and is dropping the gifts at the bottom. So I think he's trying to put the same kind of story on as that was the actual meaning behind the whole Santa Claus.
So I just yes. Okay, I'll just do this last page here. I will skip ahead a bit because the three wise men is quite interesting. The three wise men, traditionally known for presenting gifts to Christ at his birth, can be metaphorically linked to the three essential brain glands, the pineal, the pituitary, and the thalamus, which contribute serotonin, melatonin, and dopamine to the central nervous system in the body. The body's health relies on the harmonious function of these three glands. In the biblical reference to the promised land flowing from the milk and honey, the pineal gland secretes melatonin, symbolized as honey, while the pituitary gland produces serotonin, symbolized as milk. The blending of these two fluids from the Christos, or Christ oil within the brain, this sacred fluid represents the union of milk and honey. It releases down the spine to regulate body function. The process is poetically echoed in the notion of presents delivered down the chimney by Santa Claus, where the chimney symbolizes the brain and the presents serve as symbols for the vital fluids generated in the brain. And there we go. There's some pictures of the
TikTok, hickory dickory dock.
Yeah, where does he say about the hickory dickory dock stuff? Santa Claus. Santa Claus claustrum. So that's where the claustrum, he says that's Santa Claus. So Genesis 3 verse 24, Garden of Eden, cherubim and a flaming sword flash back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life. The flaming sword represents consciousness in the center of the brain. The tree of life symbolizes the central nervous system below the brain, and the cherubim represent the brain. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to just call it a day there. I mean, it goes into so many cool things here, like with the symbolism.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's actually why no one's actually ever found, and no one will ever find the Garden of Eden, because they're actually looking in the wrong place there.
I know, because it's just so like, I don't know. Yeah. But maybe, I mean, through all these podcasts that people are doing and there's things and this, because the internet's created like a hive-like mind, information has been shared so much. I mean, it sometimes actually is bad because it makes you even more fucking confused. But at least things like this are being shown, and then maybe one of us bright, enlightened people will fucking really figure it out. I mean, if Isaac Newton, one of the cleverest people that ever lived, couldn't figure it out, and that's what he spent most of his time doing, I don't know, then I think maybe we are fucked. But anyway, okay, I'll just do this last one because this is pretty cool with the old Moses' snakes. So John 3, verse 14, just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so the Son of Man must be lifted up. The wilderness symbolizes meditation, a state of inner reflection and spiritual practice. The snake or serpent representing Kundalini energy, which must be raised or awakened to activate spiritual transformation. The Son of Man must be lifted up. The Son equals, he spelled it S-O-N, equals Son, S-U-N, equals Soul, S-O-L, equals Soul. That's quite a stretch. I mean, he really pushed it there. S-O-U-L. The soul of man must be... because also you got to remember that this was like translated from other words like that weren't even like English. So like now he's making this like I don't know, breaking some code of an English word when it actually was written in like Hebrew and Greek. So I mean, if you got the actual word that it was saying there, then I mean, so that's what I say. I mean, I could be wrong, but like I think it's pushing it here. The soul of man must be elevated through the activation of the Kundalini with activated pineal gland. So that was pretty cool with Moses and the snake.
I think Moses and the snake, the representation there was actually wisdom and healing. It was just a representation.
But that's like a Kundalini energy. If you rise it up, you'll get extreme wisdom and
this
healing.
Is also the single snake on a staff is also in our medical. On our ambulances.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and like there's the cool picture of them on the snake and the painting.
The staff was actually called Asclepius.
Okay, cool, man. So there we go, dude. I'm gonna be start. Oh yeah, I'm gonna teach you the thing. Oh yeah, well, I'll teach you afterwards, so the people will have to listen to the other thing, and then
we're gonna be doing Betty and Barney Hill now. The abduction of Betty and Barney Hill. So. September 19th, 1961, a lonely stretch of highway cuts through the darkness of rural New Hampshire. The trees stand silent, unmoving under a cold night sky. A married couple, tired from a short vacation in Canada, begin a long drive home to Portsmouth. Nothing about the evening seems unusual, but by sunrise something will have changed forever. This is the story of Betty and Barney Hill, a case that would become one of the most famous alleged alien abductions in modern history. Betty and Barney Hill were, by all accounts, ordinary people. Betty a social worker, Barney a postal employee and civil rights advocate. They were an interracial couple at the time when such relationships were still met with hostility in much of America. Friends described them as intelligent, practical and grounded, not the kind of people one would expect to tell unbelievable stories. As they drove south through the White Mountains of New Hampshire late that evening, Betty noticed something unusual in the sky. At first, it looked like a bright star, but this star moved, and I've seen quite a few of those before. I'm sure you have as well.
Yeah. That's the only UFOs I have seen. If they were UFOs, was stars moving around in weird patterns and stuff.
Yeah, but they don't move in straight lines. They like move a little bit like zigzag. Then it's
back. Yes, that's what I say. Yeah, and like in a curve.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Speeding up, slowing down.
It shifted direction. It seemed to follow them. Curious, Betty urged Barney to stop the car. Then through binoculars, she watched the object appear to descend lower into the sky. What she first thought was a satellite or aircraft no longer behaved like anything familiar. The object moved erratically, silently, almost intelligently. As they continued driving, the light appeared again and again, growing closer. Near an isolated stretch of the road, Barney stopped the car once more. He stepped out, and what he would later claim to have seen would have haunted him for years. Looking through his binoculars, Barney described a large craft hanging above them, disc-shaped, metallic, illuminated against the darkness. Along what appeared to be windows, he claimed he saw figures staring back at him, humanoid, watching. He later said that one of the figures seemed different from the other, somehow almost like a commander, commanding them.
You know what's so interesting about the story is that I always question that binoculars story, because like who drives around with a fucking pair of binoculars in the car? That's what I've always wondered.
I've,
Like,
I've
I'm
actually got a
like,
pair of binoculars in the car.
you fucking weirdo. Okay, carry on with the story.
Then came the terrifying thought that rushed into his mind: they're going to capture us.
But wait a
Panic
second, Lee.
bought.
What are you doing with binoculars in your car? What are you bird watching? What are you doing with
No,
binoculars?
sometimes like if we, because I've got
Is
a
your
pair there
eyesight that bad?
no, I've got a pair that's been in the car for a while because we used to go drive to like Nambiti and those things that we used to like for game watching, but they just kind of stay in the car.
Wow. I'll tell you what.
Take
Okay,
them
well,
out.
I'll tell you. My grandparents actually had a pair of binoculars in the car because my grandma, and my grandpa had immaculate degeneration in the eyes. So they
Yeah,
both
so you have
like
to look at binoculars while he's driving.
yeah, no, so so this is what happened. So my grandpa, he was colorblind, so he couldn't see whether the robots were green or red. And my grandmother's eyes were so bad that she would have to sit in the passenger seat or in the with the binoculars to check what color the traffic lights were. So he would be driving, and then she would be with the binoculars like, it's red, it's red, it's red. And they would stop, and she's like, it's green with the binoculars. So that's how they drove around. So maybe there's lots of people with binoculars in the car. Sorry, I take it back.
Well,
Okay,
look,
so it's got
also remember they just come from Canada, and Canada is very wide wildlife, so they probably were out.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, fair
Anyway,
enough.
so he obviously had this thought that these things are going to capture them, so they panicked and they ran back to the car, and they sped away in the darkness. Then came the sounds. They started hearing these like strange beeping sounds. And then the noises echoed through the vehicle. They heard this buzzing and vibrating. The sensation got overwhelming, and then there was silence. They were like, they can't remember anything. The next thing they remembered, they were much further down the road than they expected. Nearly 2 hours had vanished. Neither of them could fully explain what happened in those 2 hours. That was at that time. When they finally arrived home, strange details began to emerge. Betty noticed her dress was torn. Barney's shoes appeared to be scuffed in unusual ways. The binocular strap had broken. Their watches stopped working, apparently forever. Both of them felt unsettled, uneasy, as if something had happened, something neither of them could remember. In the weeks that followed, Betty began having weird nightmares, disturbing and vivid. In them, she described being led aboard a craft by small humanoid beings with large eyes and greyish skin, and she claimed she and Betty were separated and subjected to medical examinations. They had samples taken, there were needles, strange instruments, communication without words. Barney, meanwhile, suffered anxiety and unexplained stress. The missing time weighed heavily on him. Eventually, the couple sought help. In 1964, under hypnosis conducted by psychiatrist Benjamin Simon, fragments of memory began to surface. Separately, Betty and Barney recounted eerily similar experiences. They described small beings escorting them into the craft, examinations, observations, and one detail that fascinated researchers for decades. Betty claimed that she had been shown a star map by one of the entities, a map of trade routes and distant star systems among them. Years later, amateur astronomers attempted to identify this map, with some suggesting connections to the binary star system like Zeta Reticuli, though the claim remains highly disputed. The story exploded into public consciousness. There were books, televisions, interviews, documentaries. Skeptics argued that the Hills' memories may have been shaped by dreams, cultural anxieties, or hypnosis itself, which is a controversial tool known for creating false memories. Others believe that the Hills had experienced something generally extraordinary, something beyond explanation. To this day, no definitive proof has ever surfaced, no photographs, no physical evidence accepted by mainstream science, only testimony. Missing time and a mystery that refuses to disappear. Were Betty and Barney Hill victims of a misunderstood psychological event? Did stress, exhaustion, and suggestion create a shared experience, or did an ordinary couple on a quiet road in New Hampshire become the first widely documented case of alien abduction? More than 60 years later, the question still lingers in the dark, waiting and watching. Just like the lights the Hills claimed followed them through the night sky, and perhaps the most unsettling thought of all, what really happened during those missing 2 hours? Okay, so now, let's get into the crux of this, the Rosen crux of the story. Right. for those who listened to our podcast last week, that was for you. All right. So apparently, when they arrived home, the Hills started experiencing like odd sensations. They were feeling it's like something was off. Okay, they couldn't quite place it. Betty insisted that their luggage be kept near the back door rather than on the main part of the house. Their watches would never work again, so the watches stopped working completely. Barney said that the leather strap on the blockers had been torn off, which we already discussed. He doesn't recall tearing it. The toes on his best dress shoes were scraped. Barney says he was compelled to examine his bollocks, his genitals, in the bathroom, because something was happening in that area. So
a bit of a Whitley Strieber incident.
They went to go check to see if there's anything going. And apparently, I don't know, later on, it doesn't mention any of this, but apparently later on there were some warts that developed. In those
so he got space STDs.
Yeah, and apparently they had to go and get some medicine for all that kind of crap.
Or maybe he just like slept around and then he didn't want to get caught by his wife, so he just pretended that he got jacked off by a couple of greys.
But you know, the thing is, okay, so there was a couple of things that happened. So the car that they were driving in, they had these little, like on the bonnet, there's like little circular indentations. And they took a compass. I don't know why you'd think to do this anyway, but they took a compass and they went up, and if they put it on those circular things, the compass would spin. And if they took it away,
it's weird how you'd think about putting the compass there.
Yeah, so exactly. I wouldn't, unless you really know about magnetism, then you would do that. But that seems weird. And also the things. So let me go back into this now. They went and spoke to a friend of theirs. He was a chief of police. His name was Buzz Sawyer, and he told them what had happened. They told him what had happened, and he actually suggested, look, they must go and talk to the people at the Air Force Base, because they're the guys that research all this kind of stuff. And then they got a hold of a guy by the name of Walter N. Webb. He was from NICAP, and he did a 6-hour interview with them. And after that 6-hour interview, he came back and he said, shit, the stuff that they kind of, the information they gave him, and he interviewed them separately, it was very similar. And so he believed them. And he said, no, there's definitely something going on here. That was in October of 1961 when they met him. Then she started having dreams. And in her dreams, she was seeing these little grey men, but they were dressed in like military outfits with like blue outfits and hats, and they were leading them away, and then they led them onto spaceships and they separated them. So she was having these nightmares about this type of thing. So this also may have influenced their story to some extent.
Mm.
Whether it really happened or whether it was just maybe dreams that she kept telling him, because he was eventually saying, listen, stop telling me about the show. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it. He was like very against this whole thing. He didn't want to go and interview. Barney was trying to stay out of this.
And also what really made it really controversial, or like they were a mixed couple in the 60s. What was it? When did this thing happen?
Yeah, I said that in the beginning. Interracial couple.
In the 60s. Mm. Yeah, but I mean, it was like one of the most racially charged like periods of our time, and I mean, couples like that would just be like hidden away. They wouldn't even want any like media attention or whatever. And now there's like two people running around saying they're being abducted by aliens, which, I mean, on top of the whole thing of people looking down at this kind of relationship, you don't want to be in the limelight, and especially of something where the society also deems that you're insane. So it's like, that was another reason why people thought, okay, well, maybe the story is true, because why would they make if they were faking, why would they make such a big publicity stunt about the most ridiculous thing, and also with all these circumstances I just mentioned?
No, 100%. So look, they eventually land up going back for a second interview, but just before they went for the second interview, they went to their church meeting, and they actually spoke about what happened with with some of their members at the church. And apparently there was a general or something, some army oak that was at their church, and he kind of took note of this. But anyway, the second interview that they had with the guys from Nightcap, the guys from Nightcap were kind of talking about the missing time, because this was quite a at that time was a bit of a new phenomenon about the missing time, which we kind of know now that it's very prominent with abductions. The missing time. You wake up, but you've left at 10 in the evening and you get home at like 4 in the morning. And you think, well, fuck, well, how the hell did that happen? So they were questioning about that, but the guys kept changing their times. It was 11 o'clock, then it was 12 o'clock, and then it was probably early in the morning. So they started becoming unsure of their own times. And the thing that in the second interview, she mentions that these entities or these aliens were speaking English to her. Okay, where in Barney's interview, he said no, they spoke telepathically to him. So there's a bit of a slight bit of a contradiction. But then apparently in her one, she was telling them about Earth, and she was saying, yeah, but time, this and that. But they were asking about what is time, what is a day, what is years. They weren't understanding when she was trying to explain things to them. They didn't understand what she was talking about. But I'm thinking, first of all, you've traveled hundreds of thousands of
light years,
kilometers. Yeah. You got to Earth, so your intelligence must be pretty high. Surely, before you actually land on Earth, you get to know the culture. So you would have, I'm assuming, studied the zoo animals for quite some time to understand them. To know what a day is, to know what, you know what I mean? So that started getting me a little bit like questioning, like, really, did this really, really, really happen? Or was it just maybe some of the stuff made up in her mind? Maybe they did see something, but that was about it. They just saw it and that was all.
Maybe they speak English telepathy, but it's usually telepathy in images, though, isn't it?
Telepathy is fine. I mean, telepathy is fine because I've heard that story that they can speak telepathically. And that's fine. I understand that. And maybe because it's not coming from voice, it's coming from mind. Whatever their thought form is coming through, you interpreting in English, or whatever language you might be Japanese, you're interpreting it in Japanese. So I understand that. That's fine. Okay. But when they're talking to her and she's trying to explain what a day is, what a week is, what hours are, and they don't understand, it's almost like they're children. That didn't make sense.
Maybe they don't like, because they like so telepathic that then when somebody starts talking with their mouth, they're like, what the fuck is this coming out of? They're making these funny noises, and then they got to like try and read her brain, and it's like
they could understand what you're saying. So they would talk to her normally, but then when she was mentioning certain things, they didn't understand. They were like, what is time? What's a day? And then she's trying to explain what a day is. It's like, I'm thinking, but that fucking makes no sense from these highly intelligent beings. And then the story about the star map that she saw, that was apparently later on, they said it was, this lady thought it might be Zeta Reticuli. That's why these guys are called Zeta Reticulans. It's from this idea. Carl Sagan came back and said there's no such fucking star system that exists. In all of our space, there's nothing that exists like that.
I thought they always proved it like later.
That was disputed. Still to this day, they've said there's no such thing.
I thought they got that right. That's why I thought it was so exciting. I thought that was like the main thing about that they found that star system, and they like
never found it,
and they proved it later on. Okay, jeez, okay, well that sucks.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
So she look with her side of the family, they'd seen UFOs. Her sister had seen UFOs, so she was quite familiar with the UFO stuff back then, where he was not. He didn't want to hear about that stuff. He was like, I'm not getting involved. They went to go see this old Dr. Simon, this guy, the psychologist, and he did a whole battery of tests on them, and he came back and he did an article for I think it was one of the newspapers there, and he said, no, this stuff is all made up. They made it up. Okay, in his whole thing. Then obviously when they had finished this whole incident, it became worldwide. It became a worldwide bloody phenomenon. Everybody came to ask him questions, and Barney was like, "Fucking just leave me alone. I don't want to hear about it." He kind of moved back. They stopped talking about the stuff to anybody. They didn't want to hear about it. But that was more from Barney's side. She was keen to talk about it, but he was like, nah, like, let's leave it. And when he passed on, she got heavily involved with it.
Well, maybe she was
got
like,
heavily involved with the UFO thing, and then she was like, they were doing tests with her. They took her down a road, and she said, "Oh, there, look, it's a UFO. It's what we saw." In the meantime, it's a fucking street light. You know what I mean? So,
maybe she was
I don't
nuts.
know. Yeah, I don't know.
And he was just going along with it because it was his wife, and he was like, yeah, okay, honey,
But
I'll say that
I'll say what I saw, but that's
binocular
it.
straps broke.
Yeah. And apparently she had a dress as well that had been torn. And when she got home, she initially threw it out, but then she decided to keep it. She hung it up and she kept it. It had all these like weird.
So it's like,
pink
you know,
powder on it.
with like Monica Lewinsky when she kept the dress from Bill Clinton's with his man juice on it.
Yeah, she
Was it
obviously
like
knew
kinda
what
like
she was
that?
going to do. She knew what she was going to do later on, so she kept the evidence.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
was all planned, man. That was a whole big fucking plan. That was he walked straight into that one. Anyway, so she kept this for like years. Instead of just chucking it out, she decided to keep it. And there was some analysis done on the dress where they'd found this funny powder, but they couldn't even they did 5 different
It
laboratories.
was great, grages. They shoot
So
they
did it
shoot
really
powder.
happen? I don't know, dude. I don't know, because also a couple of years later they had that other famous incident that happened, which was they made that movie something in the what's it fire about that guy that got abducted
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
the
forest.
fire in the sky.
Fire in the Sky, yeah, that came up, but they think he also made that up because he had heard Betty and Barney's story. so I don't know, all these UFO stories. I don't know, dude. Some of the stuff sounds valid. Maybe up until the point where they saw this UFO with these people inside, and they got in their car and they fucked off. And maybe something did happen, but they can't remember. They were making up stories. They were making up shit. I don't know. It's very difficult to determine. So, in my
Yeah.
opinion, I think they were talking bullshit, dude.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really, to go all through all of that trauma or I don't know. Sounds like she's reveled
Well,
in the end.
well, I don't know, because you must remember, like I said, when she was keen to get this stuff going, and he was like, "No, I don't want to get any of this shit going." Maybe because of the whole interracial thing, he didn't want to draw attention to them. I don't know. But when he died, she got fully into it, dude.
Oh, actually, I must look into it again because like I haven't looked into that thing for many years.
Yeah, I think it might. Personally, I think it might have been bollocks. There was just too many
Oh,
inconsistencies when they were talking about certain things. And maybe, yes, look, maybe the inconsistencies that come from jarred memory, because you must remember that apparently, according to them, the 2-hour period that they lost time in, all this stuff was happening. So maybe maybe when they did the whole hypnosis thing, they were remembering things. But also remember, people have tried hypnosis on me, dude. It didn't fucking work at all.
yeah,
You know what
I
I mean?
know. I've
Most came and
also
they did this hypnosis, said, do this, do that. And I'm like, I'm like going with what he's telling me, but I'm thinking, nothing's fucking happening yet, dude. I'm like,
yeah, I know. I've also
I'm
been
not seeing any
hypnotized many
memories.
times.
Yeah, no, I didn't see any memories. Nothing's happening.
But
It's
how's it
fucking
when
bullshit.
we got your mom hypnotized?
Yeah.
Can we talk about this on the show?
Yeah.
We should actually take. I must actually
But
get that
that
footage.
oak couldn't fucking interview. That oak couldn't hypnotize her. I had to fucking land up hypnotize my own mom.
Serious. She's well, we must
Yeah.
actually like put that. We must put that. We must. I'll get that footage and we must put it on the show. Because like we basically like for the listeners out there. Can I tell the story about your mom?
Yeah.
So anyway, she's an experiencer, whatever. She's been abducted by aliens and so we wanted to get into it because she would only bring up the memory to a certain point, like where the Greys were like carrying her out of the house, and then so I was like, well, let's go get her hypnotized. So we went and got this guy, he's a pretty cool guy. He's like, he's got a character, got him. He's quite a like well-known hypnotist, like in South Africa.
Benny the hypnotist.
So we got him to hypnotize her, and then she carried on with the story for a little bit longer, but then it stopped again. So yeah, maybe we should put that on the show sometime.
Yeah, no, we can. But
And
yeah,
that's how
so
you were
look,
born, Lee.
Yeah, as much as I come from a background where there's a lot of this stuff happening, and I've heard it all before. I'm very skeptical of things. I'm still, even though I might have been, this has been drummed into me the from from memory. I'm still very skeptical when I hear stories. So I'll analyze a story. I'll hear bits and pieces of the story, and then I'll decide: is it right? Is it wrong? Does it sound that this doesn't make sense? You know what I mean? Then eventually I'll just land up and saying it's fucking bollocks.
So have you
Bollocks
ever
story,
gone
man.
a DNA testing with your dad? See, like, because you could be like Elizabeth Clara, like
Yeah, it
a
could be a
baby.
hybrid. Yeah.
Makes sense. A lot of stuff makes sense now, Lee. I'm
Now I
figuring
understand.
it out.
Fuck. Yeah. Now I understand. Every time when I go near lights, they all start flashing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. No, but anyway. Now we talk about
Okay.
bullshit. Yeah. But yeah. But yeah. Anyway, that's it for tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. There is 2 more episodes to go for the end of the season, and then we're gonna take a
I mean,
week's break, and we'll be back. Yeah, yeah.
I gotta
Sorry.
show
Oh,
you how to
yes,
do
yes.
the
Yeah, yeah,
breathing.
yeah. Sorry. Tell us. Yeah. Breathing. Let's
Okay.
activate. Let's activate. Go.
Okay. So now, how do I do this with this camera so you guys
Am
can
I going? Do
see?
I have to hold my bollocks, or what do I have to do?
That's not like that hand trick.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you should maybe try that. Just try everything. I mean, we gotta figure it out, man. You know, like
Yeah. Give the
of
information.
Isaac
Just how we
Newton.
get, just how we get pulled from the YouTube for being pornographic.
Yeah. So I'm trying to just reach this, put this down so we can see my stomach. Oh, that sounds like. Oh, people are listening to this. They're like, oh,
What's
I'm fully
happening, my
clothed.
man?
Okay, so basically, so in the Tao tradition, when you're doing this breathing, you either do it with 9, 16, and 36 because they're like there's numbers hold great significance in
9,
there.
16, and 36.
Yeah, so when you breathe in, you
Yeah.
must push your diaphragm out. So like like you breathe fully into your stomach, pushing your stomach out, like especially the bottom.
Okay,
And
so
then
you
when you
mustn't move
breathe,
your lungs. You must just move your stomach.
sorry, I'm going the wrong way around. So when you breathe in, or did I say breathe in? I think I did. Breathe in, you just push your stomach out, especially the bottom. Then when you breathe out, you must pull your stomach in and contract all four diaphragms in your stomach. So your perineum, you gotta pull that up. You pull in your bottom of your stomach and you pull up the top of your stomach. And you got to, so now
Okay,
you do like,
so you kind of almost try and squeeze it towards the spine. Is that what you're trying to say?
yes, your whole stomach, like you squeeze, pull in your stomach and pull up your perineum, like your pelvic floor, suck it up, cutting off the poop. You got to cut off the poop. That's what I was trying to say in Putti
Okay.
Patti. In the Indonesian, they call it
Pushy
cutting off
putty.
the poop.
Okay.
When I was doing that, the Indonesian guys like cutting off the poop. So you got to cut off the poop. So you got to suck, breathe in, push your stomach out, breathe out, cut off the poop, suck in the stomach, suck in all of it. You know, if you need to go pee, that muscle as well. So you like not you like when you stop in your pee,
So the old
stop in the pee,
genital
stop in the
area.
poop, stop in the
Yeah.
pee, stop in the poop, sucking up the stomach, the diaphragms, pulling in your stomach. So you do that 9 times like this, quick, like.
Okay. So quick breathing.
Now on the ninth one, you got to you blow out all your air while you're sucking in your stomach and all the diaphragms, cutting off the poop, cutting off the wee, and you hold your breath. It's a breath retention with the breath out,
Okay.
and this is the most important part. So now when your breath is out and you're holding your breath, you got to continue that pumping movement 9 times. So like we can do it together. So just go 9, breathe out all the air, suck up the stomach and the perineum and everything, and then do the pumping 9 times. And then when you release, you must put your awareness in your head. And like you could even like visualize or put your awareness going up your spine into your head. And just do that a few times. It just sit there. It's very blissful. I mean, like I'm feeling like amazing right now. And it basically opens up all your lower chakra, your energy channels there, and also in your head. So, and you should do three rounds of that.
Okay. So what is the 36?
I don't know. I didn't actually look that up, but I just know that that's the.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Okay, so, the nine is the quick breaths, and then the 16 is the holding.
But no, so you can either do nine, or you do 16, or you do 36.
Okay.
But
So
I can't remember what the
for
meaning
beginners.
is.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then just do that before you do your meditation. And then I think then the meditation after that, you should just visualize, put your awareness at the bottom of your spine and just bring that awareness up your spine and into your head on the up breath. It should be like one full breath. So just sit there after you've done that and you just go with one breath breathing in, you bring your awareness from your spine up into your head. Then on the breath out, you bring the awareness down the front of your body back into the sanctum. What's that word again? Sacral. Sacrum. And then you just carry on doing that in this loop. Breath in, awareness all the way up, breath out, awareness down. Breathe in. I mean, like not fast, do it slowly, because like actually the slower you breathe, the better. So there we go. Put it in the links in the bottom if something happens. If you reach Christ consciousness, then you probably won't have to ever go to YouTube. You'll probably be so bored of and if that happens to me in the end of this month when my star sign, then maybe you won't ever see me again because I'll be like, fuck you guys, I'm enlightened now. I don't have to like put my
No, but you got to
mind
share
in
the
this
rest. You got to
gutter.
share with everybody. You can't just.
I'll be sitting here in like a white robe. You know, like people when they start getting to spirituality, they have to like look the part. Have you noticed? They all like go start
Yeah, but
wearing
there are also people putting
barefoot,
that shit on.
put like start wearing some beads around my neck, put a feather in my hat.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so quickly back onto that Christ consciousness thing. So the idea is, you got to find out your birth time, whether it was in the morning or the afternoon, and then you got to decide. You got to find out when the moon enters that star sign. And I'm assuming it's not once a year. I'm assuming that star sign happens monthly. Every month
it's every
at a
month.
specific time. Yeah. Okay, so you got to figure that out first.
Yeah.
Once you've done that, then you've got, I think it's a couple of days, 2 days before that happens, you've got to start fasting, and then you've got to start eating properly, drinking water, a lot of water. You start meditating, all that kind of stuff. And then in those 3 days that the thing is now creating the thing in your mind, in your head, you've got to now start doing the meditation and that, and then it starts to move down the spine for the 3 days. And then it sits.
No, it goes from the spine, it moves down there, and it sits there at the bottom for 3 days.
Okay, so
Now
how
it's
long does
at
it
the
take to
bottom.
get from the spine down, from the cerebral cortex? How long does it take to get down? Was it
I
like
think
part
it's
of
just
the
a day.
process?
Actually, I haven't looked. But you know what's also interesting is that like in Kriya Yoga,
Yeah.
that is the process, is that to circulate the spinal fluid through your body, like because in Kriya Yoga it actually explains this. It says that your cerebral spinal fluids circulates through your body over a month period, or like it's funny because I actually went and researched that, and it actually doesn't. It like does it like every 6 or 24 hours. But I think they're talking about the like your spiritual energy,
Actual
which is
birth,
obviously
the
this
birth of the.
Christ oil. It's obviously talking about this Christ oil.
So the
And like
crystal
when you
only
do,
happens like once a month for a couple of days, and then it dissipates.
yeah, but in Kriya
Yeah.
Yoga with the breathing techniques and the bandha locks and all of that, it's circulating the stuff like fast, like all the time. So you're speeding up your spiritual, because like instead of doing this once a month, it's like doing it like every day. Remember we interviewed that guy that did Kriya Yoga. What's his name?
Yeah, but he didn't want to give us the idea. He didn't want to tell us.
But he was
He
basically
was
saying
reluctant to
you've got
tell
to
us.
like circulate your spinal energy Like it goes in a lunar cycle, but if you do the breathing and the Kriya Yoga every day, it does that in one cycle. So you basically, in one day, you're doing a whole month spiritual work. And so it's speeding up your spiritual process. He said in 3 years, you'd reach enlightenment, apparently, if you did it
Oh,
properly.
okay. Yes, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool, Lee. I'll see
Yeah, thanks,
you
buddy. Much
on the other
appreciated.
side. See you in heaven,
Well, heaven's up in
in
your
the
head,
head.
apparently. Yeah. But yeah, no. Okay, awesome. I will try it out, see how that goes. But again, thanks for listening. Yeah, we'll chat to you next week. Thanks all. Thanks, buddy.
Cheers, guys. Bye.